So last time we took a look at old CPUs, we took a look at some old Intel server chips and tested them against the first generation of Ryzen processors. While they weren't exactly Ryzen killers, they did manage to keep pace fairly well in most tests. So today we'll be taking a trip back in time for Team Red. Yes, back to the era of the tried and true Piledriver FX series CPUs, although tried and true may not quite be so accurate. From the FX lineup, we have the FX 4350 with its 4 cores and 4 threads, the FX 6350 with 6 cores, 6 threads, and the FX 8350 sporting 8 cores and 8 threads. Each chip was overclocked to the hilt, and thanks to my good friend's liquid cooling setup, we managed to get them to 4.9 GHz stable. They'll be up against the Intel chips from the previous video, the Xeon E5360, Xeon L5520, and Xeon X5650, as well as the returning champs from AMD's first generation Ryzen lineup, the Ryzen 3 1200, the Ryzen 5 1400, and Ryzen 5 1600. Both the FX and Xeon chips were tested with 16GB of 1600 MHz DDR3 memory, while the Ryzen CPUs were paired with a 16GB 3200 MHz DDR4 memory kit. Each game was tested at 1080p. I'll include the settings and presets in the charts. Oh, and every game was done using my RX Vegas 64 to try and remove the GPU bottleneck. With all of that out of the way, let's see how these old CPUs hold up. Well, I guess the answer to that question is not all that well. While in most of these games the FX CPUs provided playable performance, some games were just absolutely unplayable, Ashes of the Singularity, for example, or just a stuttering mess in certain areas, such as Watch Dogs 2. But let's take a look at the overall picture. The FX lineup still comes nowhere close to either the low-end Xeon CPU or the Ryzen 3 1200. But it's pushing playable frame rates. Not amazing, but playable. Still, I wouldn't recommend picking up any of these chips on the used market. Their prices are far too high. You'll get way more out of picking up a new AM4 chip than going back to the old high-end AM3 platform. It's a complete dead end in 2018. You're just much better off going with a Ryzen 3 chip, or even one of these Xeons and just overclocking it. Anyway, that does it for this video, folks. I hope you've enjoyed the ride, and I'll catch you in the next one.